Hi, this is AJ. Welcome to the mini story for excitement. There was a guy named Brad. Brad was a student. Brad was a poor student. He needed money for school. What was Brad? A student. Brad was a student. What did he need? He needed money. Brad needed money. What did he need money for? For school. Brad needed money for school. What kind of student was Brad? Well, he was a poor student. Brad was a poor student, and he needed money for school. Was he a rich student? No, of course not. He was not a rich student. He was a poor student. Brad was a poor student who needed money for school. So he needed money, and he had a worthwhile purpose. Was his purpose worthwhile? Was it good, beneficial, useful? Well, yes, it was. It was worthwhile. It was a good, beneficial purpose. What was his purpose? Why did he need money? Well, he needed money for school, to pay for university, to pay for college. He had a worthwhile reason for needing money. What kind of purpose did he have for needing money? A worthwhile purpose. It was a very good reason to need money. Who had a worthwhile purpose? Brad. Brad had a worthwhile purpose. He had a worthwhile what? Purpose. He had a worthwhile purpose for needing money. And what was his worthwhile purpose? Well, school, university. His purpose for money, his purpose for needing money, for getting money, was school. He needed money for school. So Brad had a very worthwhile purpose. He had a very worthwhile reason for needing money. And so, of course, he got a gun and he went to a convenience store. What did Brad get? A gun. Brad got a gun. Where did he go? To a convenience store. Brad got a gun and he went to a convenience store. What did he have? He had a gun. Who had a gun? Brad. Brad had a gun and he went to a convenience store. Why did he go to a convenience store? Well, to steal money, of course, obviously. Brad got a gun and went to a convenience store to steal money. Why did he want to steal money? Because he had a worthwhile purpose. He needed money for school. So Brad got a gun. He went to a convenience store to get money for school. It was a worthwhile purpose. He walked into the store with his gun. And he said to the clerk, Give me some money! And he pointed the gun at the clerk. What did he do with the gun? He pointed the gun at the clerk. Where did he point the gun? At the clerk. He pointed the gun at the clerk. Who did he point the gun at? He pointed the gun at the clerk. Who pointed the gun at the clerk? Brad. Brad pointed the gun at the clerk. What did Brad say? He said, "Give me some money!" Who did he say that to? To the clerk. He said that to the clerk. He said to the clerk, "Give me some money!" And he pointed the gun at the clerk. Where did he point the gun? At the clerk. Where was Brad? He was in a convenience store. Brad was in a convenience store. And he said to the clerk, "Give me some money," while pointing the gun at the clerk. Was the clerk scared? Actually, no. The clerk was not scared. The clerk said, "That's a very imprecise request. How about some specificity?" What? What did he say? The clerk said, "That's a very imprecise request. How about some specificity?" He was a very intelligent clerk, and he was not scared. What kind of request did the clerk want? Well, he wanted a precise request. A detailed, specific request. Did he want a precise request or did he want an imprecise request? He wanted a precise request. He said, "That's a very imprecise request. It's a very general request. How about some specificity?" Did he want Brad to be specific? Yes, he did. He wanted Brad to be specific. Specific about what? Specific about how much money he wanted. Brad said, "Give me some money." Some money. Was Brad precise? Was Brad specific? No, he wasn't. He was very imprecise. He said some. Give me some money. That's very imprecise. So the clerk wanted specificity, or he wanted a general request? Well, he wanted specificity. He wanted a specific request, a precise request from Brad. In fact, the clerk said to Brad, "Don't be ambiguous. Tell me exactly how much you want." Did he want Brad to be ambiguous? Unclear. No, he didn't. He said, "Don't be ambiguous." Who did he not want to be ambiguous? Brad. He did not want Brad to be ambiguous. He said, don't be ambiguous. Don't be unclear. He said, tell me exactly how much you want. Who said, don't be ambiguous? The clerk. The clerk at the convenience store said, don't be ambiguous. Who did he say, don't be ambiguous to? Well, he said it to Brad. He said to Brad, don't be ambiguous. Did he want Brad to be ambiguous, or did he want Brad to be specific and clear? Well, he wanted Brad to be very clear. He said, do not be ambiguous. Do not be unclear. Do not be confusing. He said, tell me exactly how much you want. How did Brad feel? He was surprised. He was surprised by the clerk's answer. And he was silent. Did Brad talk? No, he didn't. He did not talk. He was silent. And how did he feel? He was surprised. Brad was surprised. And he stood silent. Silently with the gun. He stood silently with the gun, thinking. And then he said, I don't know. Bear with me while I think. Did Brad want the clerk to be patient with him? Yes, that's right. He said, bear with me. Bear with me while I think. Be patient while I think. Who said, bear with me? Well, Brad did. Brad said, bear with me while I think. Please be patient while I think. Who did he want to be patient? He wanted the clerk to be patient. He said to the clerk, bear with me while I think. Be patient while I think. Did the clerk say, bear with me? Not the clerk. He didn't say that. Brad said that. Brad said, bear with me. Why did Brad want the clerk to be patient? Well, because he needed to think for a long time about his answer, about how much money he wanted exactly. Brad needed to think about that answer. He didn't know. So he said to the clerk, bear with me while I think about the answer. And he thought. And he thought. And he thought. He stood silently with the gun for 17.5 hours. How long did Brad think? He thought for 17.5 hours. 17 and a half hours. Who thought for 17 and a half hours? Brad did. Brad thought for 17 and a half hours. What was he thinking about? Well, he was thinking about how much money he wanted exactly, precisely. How long did he think? 17 and a half hours. Who thought for 17 and a half hours? Brad. Brad thought for 17 and a half hours. He stood silently for 17 and a half hours. And finally, after 17 and a half hours, Brad spoke. He asked the clerk for $7,298. He said, I want precisely $7,298. Did Brad's answer have specificity? Yes, it did. It did have specificity. It had details. It was specific. What kind of answer did Brad finally give? He finally gave a specific answer. He finally gave a precise answer. How much money did he ask for? He asked for $7,298. Why did he ask for $7,298? Because that's exactly how much money he needed for school. Well, of course. Well, the clerk smiled and said, okay, that's a great specific answer. And he gave Brad $7,298. Brad immediately went home. Then he went to school and he paid his university. Brad was very happy because now he could study. How did Brad feel? Brad felt very happy because now he could study in school once again. And that is the end of the mini story for excitement. See you next time. Bye-bye.